Hey crafty people, it's Tasha, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm taking part in Altenew's brand new release and I'm going to make a card with some of the products from the release. So I'm using the Sentimental Flowers stamp set and coordinating die. I love this set, it's so pretty. And I'm going to show you how I used it to make a card. Let's make one. So, first of all, when you take this stamp off the acetate, you see that, yeah, this could be really easy to stamp wrong, and then if you do, then you go to cut it out, and your die is just not going to cut it properly. So, the best way to counteract that is to use the die when you are actually placing your stamp onto your MISTI. So I've sped through I had a little bit of confusion there. Couldn't quite work out how it went. But as you can see, I popped the die down, set the stamp into it, and then picked it up with my MISTI door. And that's going to give you a perfectly placed stamp. So now I'm adding some permanent black ink. I'm not inking it up brilliantly because I'm not really fussed about as long as I can see where each of the flowers are, that's all I'm bothered about at this point. So I've left that stamp in my MISTI exactly where it was, and I'm going to colour in my image. So I grabbed out the Water Garden set of alcohol markers because I really love how these three colour families look together, and it's just a bit of a different and unique colour scheme to use. So I've just done some really simple colouring here. I'm sorry you can't fully see. So I've sort of tried to chop and change so that you can see what I'm doing at each point. So I started with the lightest of the purples, and then I've gone to the darkest and added that just at the very bases of the petals, and then I'm going to blend that out with each of the four inks basically. We're just going to add each one going a little bit further out. Just like I said, really basic colouring. So once I've got all of those coloured, I'm going to add some colour to the centre of my flowers with some of the beigey inks. I can't remember the name of each one of them, but yeah, they're all from the Water Garden set. Oh my goodness. So now I'm going to use these beautiful turquoise teals to colour in those other flowers, the smaller ones, and then I'm going to have sort of brown beige leaves. Like I said, it's a bit of a different colour scheme, and I just like how these all work together. And I'm just doing the exact same with colouring all of these leaves, colouring the whole thing first with the lightest, and then working my way from dark to light to blend colour out from the base of the leaf or petal, whichever it is that I'm colouring at that point. So once I've got that all coloured up, I'm going to grab my MISTI back out, and my stamp is still in the same place as it was when I stamped it. That is really important, and I'm going to ink it up with some ultra slow dry embossing ink from Wow. So before I actually touch it down to the image, I did just tip up my MISTI a little bit so I could just have a look through, make sure that it was going to hit right, because I don't want to ruin all that colouring that I've already done. So it did, so I made sure that I'd got a nice coverage of the ink, and then I'm adding some superfine platinum embossing powder. Some did stick where I don't want it there, that's because I forgot to add any anti-static, and I'd been colouring this panel, so the oils from my hands and everything are going to be on the paper, but it's not a problem. I just brush that off with a dry paintbrush. And then I'm going to heat set this full image, and this way you're going to get an embossed image that you've coloured in with your alcohol markers without risking wrecking your markers if you were to colour onto an embossed image. You know, it's up to you if you wanted to do that. I personally don't, because I don't want to risk wrecking my markers because I love them. So I decided that I wanted to back this piece, but I didn't want to like just cut the die from this glitter cardstock, and the cardstock isn't actually big enough to cut that die. So what I did is I grabbed the inside that was cut from where I've coloured it, and I'm just going to use a pencil to trace all the way around that. Then I'm going to add another little line a little bit further out. You don't have to add the second line. That was more just to show you what I was doing, that I'd measured that actual inside piece, and then I'm going to cut a little bit out of that, so it's just a little bit bigger, and that's going to give me a little bit of cardstock that will glue to the back of my flowers and hoop and everything there. So I'm adding some liquid glue just to the inside edges of that image, and then I can add that to that glitter backing piece. So it's just an extra little way that you can use. I love to use either the dies or, like here, the pieces that are cut from the dies, to create like shadow pieces that you don't actually have the die for. So I embossed a sentiment from the same set in that same platinum embossing powder, and I fussy cut those out. Then, rather than using foam tape, I just added some strips of cardstock behind that to pop that up, and then I'm going to glue that onto the middle of my floral and onto that glitter cardstock. You need to make sure that you sort of do push it down quite well, to make sure that it really adheres well, because that's quite a textured surface. So for my background panel, I've just ran that through with the one of the debossing dies, so it's just putting like pinprick pattern into the background, and then I'm adding my focal point on some instant dimension foam tape. To finish everything off, I've added some satin white sequins, and that is the card for today. I hope you love it as much as I do. Let me know what you think, and do you like to use some unconventional colour schemes? Don't forget to head over to my blog post to leave a comment to be in with a chance of winning one of the prizes that Altenew are very generously sponsoring for this blog hop. And if you aren't already subscribed, I'd love it if you'd consider hitting that button. I hope that you have a lovely, happy, safe and just wonderful week. Stay crafty. Bye.